I am. I am. Can you hear me now? Can you see me?
Wildstar. Okay, so Wildstar, for those of you who don't know, is the first announced candidate for governor of California. And the recall, I know for a fact that it's a go, and it's 100% go. So that means Newsom's going to be on a ballot, and you guys are going to get to vote him out. And
Yeah.
you'll be able to vote for Wildstar.
Woo!
You guys want. Now,
That's what we want
Wildstar
right here. Get him out.
was
Get
a
me.
libertarian. He's been chairman, I believe, of Fresno. He's been on the boards. He's a top-notch guy, and he's running as a Republican, but he's running on the libertarian platform and our principles. So he's kind of mixing it up a little bit, which is fine. You know, honestly, guys, this movement is, like Mark Feldman said, it's, what kind of libertarian are you? We're all different libertarians. We're all doing it different ways. Some of us are doing it in other parties. And Wildstar's one of those. And so he's got a good perspective. He's done it as a libertarian, which is very good. If you've never been in politics, I think the LP is a great place to start, especially if we have what you want as far as liberty, the principles, the platform, and all that good stuff. And even if we're 80% of what you want, that's good enough. This party has a hell of a lot more for me than the Republicans, and a ton more than the Democrats. So, there's really only one party and one platform. And I'm really glad that guys like, Wildstar are bringing it as a Republican. I know a lot of Republicans. Joe Collins is a friend of mine. He's running against Maxine Waters, and there's no libertarians in his race. So it's important that, in this race, he's going to be on my ballot or somebody else's ballot, and they need, we need liberty-minded candidates. So sometimes you got to dig a little deeper to find them. And one of the things that this group does, Friends of the Libertarian Parties, is we're going to try to bring out candidates month after month after month. We got about 12 months to the next elections. So we're going to bring out these candidates every month and give them a chance to speak and meet new people that come to these meetings. But Wildstar is one of them. Now, Wildstar and I met a long time ago, and Wildstar is just a great guy. He's got a great vibe and a great message, and he delivers it like no one else. So with that said, Wildstar, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that handsome introduction, Mr. Chair or Mr. Mark Hurd. I wanted to know if it's possible, if everyone could possibly mute themselves. That way, I'm able to be heard by everyone in attendance. And also, Mark, if it's possible to record, is that a possibility? Mark?
I'll be honest, I'm not recording these meetings. There is a feature.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could record me speaking. If
wait a
that's
minute, let me
possible.
try it over here on this one. Let me see. I don't like to.
You definitely want to always document everything. I'm all about that.
You look sharp. I like your background.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very fitting for the occasion, isn't it?
Why don't you ask the host if you can record? If it says send something to me, I'll put yes. Then you can record it on your.
It just says please ask the host to give you permission to record. That's
Okay,
all.
let me see. See, I'm doing all this stuff on my cell phone.
Gotta love technology.
You gotta love it. I mean, I'm really psyched. I used to have an IR 370. You know what that is? That was
Haven't the slightest.
1997. That was right after the brick phones.
Oh wow. We've come a long way, haven't we?
Okay, I pushed the record button.
Excellent. All right, I see.
I don't
Thank
know
you.
if that's gonna work though. No guarantees, Wildstar.
Yeah, well, I see it there up on the screen, so it's working.
You come back. We want you back in 30 days. You come back to our next show.
I would be pleased to do so if I'm able to.
Okay.
I'll get.
Letterman show. Come on down. We need entertainers. So
You
here
got
we
it.
go. I'm gonna mute my stuff. you're up. I think it's
Thank you.
recording. Let's hope
It is.
If it is, I'll capture it and get it to you. If not, I'll see you in 30 days. But here, I'm going to mute. The floor is yours. Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And again, thank you, Mark, for inviting me here to be heard, and the invitation to speak to everyone in attendance. I rarely get the opportunity to, especially when you're on the underground. I think that's what this is when you're working the independent circuit, especially as a candidate. It's like this is the underground network of minds and individuals that are actually active in bringing about the changes that we want in the community. And we don't see that much from our elected officials, unfortunately. So, I was inspired to get involved into politics because of those, seeing those failures myself as an individual. So a little bit about me. I'm a candidate, as Mark said. I ran for governor of California in 2014 as an independent, and then I ran for governor again in 2018, and I was the endorsed candidate for the Libertarian Party. And as Mark said, I'm running again in 2022 as a registered Republican, but am running as a Libertarian Republican since I'm still promoting the Libertarian platform. I feel like, with people being stuck in the dualistic mindset to feeling like they must participate in the duopoly of politics, team red, team blue, that it's kind of hard for them to shift away from thinking that if they vote for a third opponent, that they would actually be given the opportunity to win that election. So to broaden my base and, increase the opportunity of actually winning, I am running as a Republican. And I did also run for Fullerton City Council, as well as mayor of Fresno, where I currently live with my wife. I'm a husband. I've been married to my wife, Crystal, for almost 10 years now. We just celebrated our 9th wedding anniversary, so we're working on year number 10. And we just had our first child, our son, Chancellor, who is 17 months. So if you speak to my wife about, me getting involved in politics, she probably would tell you that she didn't even have a clue any of this was going to happen. And I would probably tell you the same thing. I mean, when we first met, I was involved in music. I'm a rap artist, or was involved as a rap musician, and moved out here from Wisconsin back in 1999. So I've came out to California to pursue a career in music, and as an independent musician, have had music placed in movies like Scary Movie 4. I have music on Pandora, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. So look it up and enjoy. And basically, being a musician, I had to be conscious about the type of content that I was putting out there. It seems like right now it's a trendy thing to pay attention to social issues as an artist and an entertainer, and speak about these things publicly. So I was doing that way back in the day before it became a trend thing, So and one of the main things that kind of opened my eyes to everything was 9/11. Just seeing our government and hearing them lie about there being 2 buildings that were attacked by terrorists when really there were 3, about there being weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So it just really poked a lot of holes in my trust in government, and I started to see how they weren't as genuine in their institutionalization as I had once believed before that happened. So I started to get involved into politics more and more then. I was involved as an anonymous activist during the Occupy Wall Street protests. We had protests here in California that coincided with that. Occupy Orange County, LA, San Diego, all that good stuff. So I was a very involved Occupy protester, and that again turned my eyes towards our politicians, and I stumbled upon Dr. Ron Paul, who was the 2012 presidential candidate for the Republican Party, but I learned about him running as a libertarian in 2008 after Barack Obama disappointed me. I was a longtime Democrat, like I believe his name is Matthew, like he said. But after being disappointed by the Democratic Party, I felt politically homeless and was an independent, and learned more about Dr. Ron Paul and libertarianism, and was an advocate of that and him and his presidency. So I had promoted his presidential campaign for 2012. And that again made me want to get involved in politics myself. So I contended against Jerry Brown in 2014 for governor, and then again in 2018. And here I am now, hopefully going to get Gavin Newsom's ass out of office here with the recall election shortly. So I'm an active candidate and am doing my best to just bring some integrity to our political system. I think that's a word that's kind of been taken for granted nowadays, and the meaning of it has been misconstrued. I mean, when we think about that word, we think about somebody that's upright and righteousness and, having upright moral character. But it also relates to structural integrity, like a building on 9/11. If the structural integrity of a building or a car or something is compromised, it could put your life in danger. And that's exactly what's happening right now with our government. I mean, with the current political climate and people being upset about the elections, as well as feeling like our criminal justice system isn't serving us as people, has put us in this position to where we as Americans must reflect on our government's role in our day-to-day lives. And they become this oligarchy. They have this do as I say, not as I do type mentality. They go on trips and vacations while we suffer and lose our jobs, while they continue to collect our tax dollars and money from big corporations who keep them in power. And we have to wonder why that exists, as well as, if we do recognize that, take it upon ourselves to fight back against that, since that is exactly what this nation is founded on. So I myself have done that. You can Google me and find out. Right now, I'm actually fighting against the criminal justice system myself with my own case. I was just convicted of contempt of court for videotaping my own court cases. Just as I asked Mark to record just me and not everybody else, I did that in court and was found in contempt, since the judge asked me not to record, and I let him know, hey, I have the constitutional right to freedom of press and, a public, trial, since you're asking me guilty, not guilty. And I want to record this process. And that's protected by law here in California under California PC Code 148G. But during my trial that I just had, contesting these charges, I ended up getting found guilty. So I am now being out of jail and on bail, and am facing sentencing on Friday, March 12th. So I'm putting together a protest. I'm taking this moment of injustice and turning it into a movement, and hopefully wanting to motivate those freedom lovers out there and freedom fighters that want to get rid of the injustice in our, in our country, and corruption in government, to join me in protest. So right now, my campaign is promoting for, again, everyone to come down and protest at the Santa Ana Courthouse Friday, March 12th at 8 a.m. We'll be passing out pocket constitutions and jury nullification forms and all sorts of goodies. So please come on down. as well as, of course, get the word out about what's going on. Please just use the hashtag #FreeWildstar, hashtag #FreeWildstar, and, get the word out. Oh, pardon me. Okay. Didn't mean to hit that. So, if you guys can still hear me, I'm in need of people power right now. It's all about us acting on the principles that built this nation. And one of those main principles is the principle of liberty. And liberty is integral to the integrity of this nation. And we've seen that happen on the January 6th, invasion of the Capitol, because you had upset Americans compromising the integrity of this nation. And that is because, first, our elected officials compromised that integrity by not presenting themselves in a fashion to where they are trustworthy and are worthy of our respect and trust. So please, again, join me, Wildstar2022.com. You can visit my website, my campaign website. I got all of my social media icons there: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. So please connect with me and help spread the word. Fight the power. Long live liberty. I could keep talking forever, trust me. But what's that?
Go ahead, guys. Anybody got some questions for Wildstar? Go ahead.
Yes. Anyone have some questions?
Fire away, guys.
Anybody?
Wildstar,
Everybody?
I got a question.
No? All right. What's up?
I'll break the ice. Probably the first question libertarians want to ask is, why R, not L?
Well, a few reasons. As I said to you before, I do want to increase my opportunities of actually winning. Unfortunately, the Libertarian Party underestimates that, that goal. They don't really think that a executive position such as governor or mayor even, or president is worth time and effort and money versus, a local election that they deem to be more winnable. So I tend to be one of those people that feel like if we don't shoot for the stars, then we can't reach the moon. So I want to, go out there and give my all as a candidate. And I feel like all I need to do is make sure that I'm on the ballot, just like everybody else. I mean, and I've done that successfully, was able to garner nearly 12,000 votes in the last election. Ever since then, I've able to amass over 200,000 pledged voters. So I've built a great following and hope to continue to do so, But with me running as a Republican right now, I know they're going through a bit of an identity crisis, but I also feel like that gives me more leverage to actually contend against Gavin Newsom, who's the Democratic, party's head here in California. So with him being their golden boy and them going, the Democratic Party are going to dump tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into his election. So if we want to make sure that liberty has an opportunity to win in California, a libertarian-minded candidate, a liberty advocate, period, then you want to make sure that you, again, are investing your vote properly. Right now, the libertarians haven't even announced any candidate. Nobody stepped up to the plate. And of course, I would have done it if I would have continued to be a member of the Libertarian Party. But without that structure there to support me as a candidate, then I have to, move around. And it's just pretty much the basics and stuff like that. Nothing against the Libertarian Party itself, but the members, which are outstanding. I've gotten fantastic and incredible support from, Libertarian Party members, which are the little L libertarians. So thank you, little L libertarians. But we all know how it goes when it comes to hierarchy and power and politics and all of this other stuff. I'm not trying to be in any special club or be cliquish with anybody. I don't care about drama. I care about the mission at hand, and we need to focus on that because we have people conspiring against us to harm us and to keep us oppressed under their ruling authority for however long they can continue to do so. So if we really want to fight the power, then we have to, drop all the bullshit, unite, come together as one, and fight. Does that answer your question, or you still got it?
That was very good. Thank you. And I'll tell you, Wildstar, I've known you for a long time. If I see, there's very few names that I would vote for over you. And, it would take a Jeff Hewitt or someone very strong in the party. Otherwise, I know where you stand.
Thank you.
You're solid L. No matter what's next to your name, you're solid L. And one of the reasons I support Joe Collins is he's just much closer to L's than Maxine Waters. She wants to, bullet train you to nowhere and, Triple H fund you to nowhere and just ruin the state.
The one thing right now is with the political divide is we don't need any more demagoguery and political rhetoric. And if we can stay away from shouting down each other and start listening to each other, then we can get a lot further. So to me, characteristically, you're going to have to be that type of person that's going to be expressive of more love and patience and understanding and care, opposed to just, middle finger you. I can do that all day. That's not going to get us anywhere, But if we talk about mending bridges and building bridges here in California, instead of building walls, how are we going to be able to do that, So, and like somebody said here, I'm running like a Ron Paul, Ron Paul Republican. And Ron Paul got a lot. He attracted me as a Democrat, because he did run as a Republican. So it can definitely happen. And a lot of people here in California, that's the thing, is the Californian voter is not like how the media portrays. They aren't completely liberal. They aren't completely conservative. They aren't completely right. They aren't completely left. They're libertarian, believe it or not. They're people that really want to see a betterment of our society and not see all of our tax dollars be wasted on that process. So there's a way to streamline things. There's a way to have government operate on a smaller budget and more efficiently. And I plan to prove that once I get elected. So it's all about people at this point putting, people over politics and politics over party to actually achieve the goal at hand. And that's true liberty and justice for all. I could keep going, but if you got a question.
Questions for Wildstar? Anybody got any questions?
No, everybody. There's other people that want to speak.
Hey, what happened to the hair?
Oh yeah, man, had to clean up.
You had a lot of hair.
Thank you. I had to clean up for Act 3. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get him out, get me in. You know what I'm saying? But multiple reasons. I felt like it was a change. Believe it or not, I used to wear my hair like this. My rap artist name is Cue Ball. So when I first met my wife, I looked like this, and then she was like, "Hey, why don't you grow your hair?" And I'm like, whatever. You're the woman I'm gonna be with for the rest of my life. So whatever makes you happy. And I guess the majority of you guys probably seen me in that process of, the shorter hair to the longer hair that I probably became more known for. But yeah, now I'm back to cue ball.
All right, Wildstar, Cue ball, I got a challenge for you.
What's
Andy
that?
Jacobs is up next in the lineup. But while he's speaking, I want you to go get one of your tapes, and I want you to come back, and I want to hear some of your rap. Is that all right?
Sure, we can have a listening session. I mean, if y'all down for that.
Yeah, you know, Andy's gonna warm us up for a quick 10 minutes, and then you know, go get ready, and then I want you to come back and show me something.
You got it. All right.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you.
Andy, you're up, man. Andy Jacobs, for those of you who don't know, he's been a libertarian a long time. He also works in the ballot initiative industry like I do. He's been petitioning much longer than I have. And we've been traveling across the country, getting out candidates on the ballot and running crews. And, you know, that's kind of where Andy and I think we met. And, you know, he does a lot of work for the party, and he does a lot of work for a lot of causes, ballot initiatives. And Andy is one of the rare guys who won't take a ballot initiative if he doesn't like it. Most guys will make money, sometimes $20 a signature, to get a ballot initiative on the ballot. And Andy's the kind of guy who'll turn money down if he doesn't like the initiatives. And if you want, Andy, you can speak to that. If not, you know, I think it's a good thing. It's a credit. Me, I run my crews like a business, and we look at it like money, and we let the voters decide, you know, on everything, because there's just too much money. And Andy will speak to that, and I think Andy will speak to the, if you will, Andy, speak to the Governor Newsom recall. And Andy, you got the floor.
Yeah, the recall of the Governor Newsom is going on right now. I did collect a few signatures on it, but then I didn't think it was going to make the ballot, and I ended up leaving the state. But now they've gotten a tremendous amount of volunteer petition signatures, and they actually got quite lucky because the petition came out in June. And the deadline on it was November 17th. But they filed a lawsuit to get an extension on the deadline because of COVID. And I didn't think they were going to win the lawsuit, but they actually did end up winning. And so they got the deadline extended to March 17th. And that kind of breathed new life into this thing. And, you know, they did end up raising some money, and now they are paying for petitioners. But the majority of the signatures have actually been collected by volunteers, and a lot of that's been they've driven traffic to their website, and a lot of people. The petition is pretty easy to download. I don't know, you know, a lot of you may not have seen California petitions before, but sometimes on some of the ballot initiatives they run, sometimes the legal language can be pretty long, and the petition is not really in a user-friendly format to download on a home printer. But the recall is just one page, and it's single-sided. It's just one side of the page with text on it. And so it's something that they have two versions of it. They have an 8.5 by 11 version, and then they have an 8.5 by 14 version. And most people can print, you know, 8.5, 11 paper on their home printer. So a lot of people have been printing the petition at home, and then they sign it. They get their family to sign it, or friends, or whatever, and then they mail it in. So they've gotten a lot of volunteer signatures. Anyway, I think it is going to make the ballot, and not whether or not Newsom is going to be recalled, I don't know. I think he deserves to be recalled, but is it going to happen? I don't know. I worked on the petition to recall Gray Davis many years ago, way back in 2013, and I was actually the #1 petition circulator out of the San Fernando Valley Petition Office. And I gathered about 10,000 signatures in it was out for about 7 or 8 weeks. And so I gathered like 10,000 signatures, which was actually the most signatures I had ever gathered on one petition in California. And to this day, it's still the most, it's a top contender for the most signatures I ever gathered on any petition anywhere. I don't know if it's number one. There's a couple others that I did in other states that I got a lot of signatures on. And I got around 10,000 signatures in about 7 or 8 weeks in California way back in 2003. Now, the bad thing is that California has actually, California was already a Democrat majority state by 2003. And incidentally, a lot of people don't know this, but California actually used to be a Republican-leaning state a long time ago, going back to the 1970s, maybe even into part of the 80s. But, it's been a Democrat state for quite a while. And California has actually shifted even further to the Democrats since 2003. And that will work in Gavin Newsom's favor. And so some of the polling data I've heard says that Gavin Newsom is going to win the recall, but he's not going to win it by much. It's going to be close. But he will prevail and remain governor, according to the polls that I've heard. Now, personally, I hope he doesn't prevail. I hope he gets recalled. And I hope he gets recalled regardless of who he gets replaced with, because to me, the recall is not about who's going to replace him. The recall is about him and about the job that he's doing. Mm-hmm. And I think that the public, should have a right to remove elected officials from office.
Exactly.
And frankly, I think it should happen more often than it does. I wish there were more recalls, because there's a lot more politicians that need to be removed from office. Now, going back when Gray Davis got removed from office, that basically ended his political career. There was thought that Gray Davis was going to run for president, and his political career was ruined after that. And it'll be the same thing with Gavin Newsom if he gets recalled. There's been talk in the past of Gavin Newsom being a future, presidential candidate. And so if he gets recalled, I think it'll be the end of his political career. And, I think he deserves it. So I hope it happens, but I guess that remains to be seen. But I think the recall has a very, very good chance of making the ballot. Anyway, and if you're out there and you're listening to this, when I was on this about last month, I was on this meeting last month, and during the meeting last month, I talked quite a bit about ballot access, and I said, hey, if there's a pro-liberty petition going on in the state that you're living in, and you're a Libertarian Party member, or even if you're not a Libertarian Party member, maybe you're just a Libertarian, but you're not actually a member of the party, and you want to go do something for the cause of liberty, well, a good thing you can do is to go pick up a pro-liberty petition, go out and get signatures on it. And it's a great way to get people to stop and talk. And then once you have them stop and talk, you can say, hey, I'm a libertarian, and libertarians are supporting this issue or this petition for, reasons X, Y, and Z. And, you could hand them a pamphlet or a flyer or say, hey, we have our local meetings at, blah, blah, blah. You could bring a contact sheet along with you and ask them, hey, if you're interested in the Libertarian Party, could you, put down your name and your address and your phone number and your email address so we can contact you, And, if more libertarians would do things like that, the party would be a lot bigger than it is, because I can tell you there aren't that many libertarians who do things like that, unfortunately. But, yeah, you could just go on, and, like I said, I understand that some people, you may have other things going on in your life, it depends on how busy a person is. I understand some people might work 70 or 80 hours a week and they don't have much time to do anything, and I can certainly understand that. But if you've got some extra time, and especially if you need extra money, this recall is paying. They'll pay signatures. They're paying $250 a signature right now to petition service. So you could go out, make some extra money, do something, go out there and promote the cause of liberty, and you can get paid for your time, even if it's just part-time, It's like, it's more productive than going to a Libertarian Party meeting and just sitting there at a meeting, or going to a Libertarian Party supper club. I guess it's, that might be good for socializing, but you're not really doing anything to grow the party. So you grow the party by going out and engaging with the public. Now, I guess you could engage with the public other ways if you're able to get on television or get on radio or something, or get a website. The thing with the internet is there's too many libertarians who spend a lot of time arguing on websites with other libertarians. Mm-hmm. Like they'll go onto some website that hardly anybody reads, and then they'll spend their time debating with other libertarians or preaching to the choir. If you're already talking to other libertarians, you're either preaching to the choir or you're just, debating minutia or debating, issues within the, you know what I mean? You're not really very smart when you do that. You want to go talk to the people who are not Libertarian Party members, the people who maybe don't even know what a libertarian is.
Exactly.
And you want to try to persuade them to your side. And so I think the Libertarian Party has the potential to be much larger than it is. And if we go back, I got involved in the Libertarian Party back in the 90s. Back then, the party was going through a lot of growth. And the party actually got up to like around 33 or 34,000 dues-paying members back around 2000, 2001, wow, which was the largest the Libertarian Party has ever been in terms of dues-paying membership. Membership started dropping after that, and at some points it dropped pretty hard. And I think it even got down to like 12 or 13,000 at some point. Now membership has gone back up lately, and the latest I've heard is like 22,000. And when I say 22,000, I mean 22,000 dues-paying members. I mean 22,000 people who sent in a minimum, $25 donation during a period of a year. So that's how you're defined as a dues. To be defined as a dues-paying member, you have to sign the party's statement of principles and then also send in a donation for at least $25. It could be more than $25, but it has to be a minimum of $25. Again, there's approximately 22,000 people who have done that right now. But going back 20 years ago, the party had like 33 or 34,000 people that did that. So the party's actually smaller today in terms of dues-paying members than it was 2 decades ago. Now, in terms of registered libertarians, that is people who check for the libertarian box on their voter registration, that has gone up. Mm-hmm. I think about 20 years ago, 300,000. Today, it's up like 650,000. There's somewhere in the ballpark of 650,000 people who registered to vote under the Libertarian Party banner. And the thing is that there's something like half the states, or I can't remember the exact number, maybe it's 16 or 18 states that do not register by party. So in other words, if you're in one of those states like Washington or Texas or Indiana or Virginia, they don't register by party in that state. Everybody's just a registered voter. They're all registered nonpartisan. And then when there's a primary, they could go in and choose a Democrat ballot or a Republican ballot in primaries, but they're officially, everybody in those states is registered nonpartisan. So we don't really know how many registered libertarians there would be in, say, Texas or Virginia or, one of these other states that doesn't register by party. But out of the states that do register by party, there's about 650,000 registered libertarians out there. And there's over 100,000 of them in California. I think, what is it, like 120,000 or something, 130, maybe 140,000 registered libertarians in California. So just imagine if all those registered libertarians actually sent the Libertarian Party at least $25 a year.
Right.
The party would have a heck of a lot more money than it has right now. And, if you want to operate in politics, you got to have money. You can't do anything in politics, or I shouldn't say you can't do anything, but you can't do much of anything in politics without money. I mean, Democrats and Republicans spend hundreds of millions of dollars. Actually, they spend a few $billion. I mean, I know, I'm not sure how much Biden and Trump spent in 2020, but I know in the previous election, the Hillary Clinton campaign spent like $1 billion. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think Trump spent a little less than that. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and you know, Trump had the advantage of being a celebrity. He was a celebrity in addition to being a billionaire. So he already had you know national name recognition long before he ran for office. But anyway, my point is, you don't go. You know, people say, why isn't the Libertarian Party more successful? Why is the Libertarian Party doing that? And a lot of times, the main reason the party isn't doing these things is because of lack of money. They don't have the money to do these things. And so, if the party had more members, the party could raise more money. The party could raise more money. The party could do a whole lot. The party could be running ads on television. The party could be putting up billboards, things like that. You know? So anyway, you want to grow the party, you want to raise more money, you got to bring in more members. Bottom line. So anyway, I thought of another thing to talk about tonight, and that was, I've long said that there should be some action items that people can do in their day-to-day life that can move society in the direction of more liberty, which don't require people getting elected to office. Because, here's the thing. A libertarian gets elected to office, there's only so much you can do, And, especially if you're getting elected to some kind of, county board or city council or even a mayor or something. There'd be more you could do if you could get elected to say governor or president. But obviously it's, far easier said than done to get elected to either of those offices because the amount of money it would take to do it. Even if you got elected to the state legislature or got elected to Congress, I mean, you're one vote out of how many people in the legislature? You'd have to have a majority in the legislature to really, to
have an impact.
Really start moving things in a libertarian direction. One or two people in the state legislature isn't going to do it. And so, anyway, this is why I say there should be some action items that don't rely on electoral politics that people can implement in their day-to-day lives that can move society in the direction of individual liberty. And I've got 4 of them right now, 4 bullet points, 4 action items that libertarians can present to the public that if people do them, enough people do it, would move society in the direction of more liberty. And I'm going to go through those action items really quick. Okay, and I'm not going to put them, this is in no particular order. Okay? Action item number 1, jury nullification. What is jury nullification? Okay, as a juror, jurors have a right to judge not only the facts of the case, but the validity of the law itself. And if they believe that the law is unjust or is being applied in an unjust manner, you have a right to vote not guilty, even if the person's guilty. And jury nullification is something that goes way back in history to what's known as English common law. I don't know if it existed in any other country besides England, but it existed in England, and this country was originally formed out of England, and our system of law and the Constitution is originally based on English common law. So it was a common thing in this country's history in the 1700s and 1800s, for everybody to know about jury nullification. And, it was something that was pretty common up until about the 1850s. And it was in the 1850s when the judges and the prosecutors stopped telling jurors about the right of jury nullification. And one of the reasons they stopped doing it is because there was a law that got passed called the Fugitive Slave Act. And the Fugitive Slave Act meant if a slave had escaped from a plantation and they made it to a state that had already eliminated slavery, and that slave got captured, they had to be returned to the plantation where they escaped from. And so that was under the Fugitive Slave Act. And there were some jurors who felt that that was a bad law, and so they were refusing to enforce it. They were doing jury nullification on it. And so that was one of the reasons why they stopped telling the public about jury nullification. And so we still have this right today of jury nullification. The problem is that the prosecutors and the judges don't want the public to know about it. And anybody who's been to law school knows what jury nullification is, but the lawyers don't like to talk about it because, for one thing, there wouldn't be as many cases if all the public knew about jury nullification, because then there would be less work for the attorneys to do as criminal defense attorneys, because, you know, a lot of cases would get thrown out really quickly, and then they can't bill their clients as much, and so there'd be less work for them. The other thing is, there's a thing called the Bar Association that attorneys join. Now, that's a whole other history itself, and I'm going to get into the Bar Association and why the Bar Association is actually a bad thing. But anyway, attorneys can be disbarred if they tell people about jury nullification. They lose their license to practice law, and so it's pretty corrupt. But anyway, here's the thing: jury nullification is perfectly legal today, but most of the public doesn't know what it is. And so, if more people knew about it, the government would have a very difficult time, railroading people in court for victimless crimes. So they'd have a real hard time, prosecuting people for nonviolent drug offenses and prosecuting people for gun control offenses and probably income tax. I mean, we could probably get rid of a lot of the nonsense that the government's doing if the majority of the public knew about jury nullification. Okay, so spreading information about jury nullification. That's action item number 1. Okay, action item number 2, cryptocurrency.
Oh, goodness.
Cryptocurrency. Or alternative currencies in general. You know, that is money that's not Federal Reserve notes. Could be gold or silver coins, or it could be cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Actually, in the realm of cryptocurrency, I assume people will know what cryptocurrency is. You probably heard about Bitcoin by now. And there's another coin. There's a thing you really ought to be familiar with. It's called they're called default privacy coins. You know, Bitcoin is actually not private, and a lot of people don't realize that. But Bitcoin can be tracked. Anybody can track it. Anybody with a child with very minimal computer skills can actually look up Bitcoin addresses and see how much Bitcoin is in an address and see now. They may not know who the Bitcoin address belongs to. Of course, there's other ways you can find that out. But they can know how much Bitcoin is in an address, and they can know where that Bitcoin is being spent. While there are a few of these cryptocurrencies out there that are what's known as default privacy coins. One of them is called Monero. And Monero and a few of these other coins are so private that even the NSA can't track them. In fact, the IRS came out with a bounty of like $650,000 or something like that for anybody who can figure out a way to track Monero, and nobody's been able to collect that bounty. So Monero is your balance is 100% private, and all your transactions are private. And if everybody started using Monero and stopped using U.S. dollars, it would eliminate the Federal Reserve System and the IRS. Okay, and there'd be nothing the government could do to stop it. Okay, they say, okay, well we're gonna shut down.
What's the symbol on that? How do you spell that?
Monero, Monero, and its abbreviation is XMR.
Wait. One more time, boss. I'm retarded.
It's Monero, 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 and its abbreviation is XMR. And it's
and Randy is a motherfucker, like
X, like X, like X marks the spot, X, and then MR. That's the abbreviation. Like Bitcoin, the abbreviation for Bitcoin is BTC. The abbreviation for Monero is XMR.
Like X-ray, money, Randy, like a motherfucker, right?
Yes. So Monero's currently trading for around $200, something like that. It was up to like $260 not very long ago. I don't know how many people here follow the cryptocurrency market, but it's been on a real tear lately. And Bitcoin got up all the way to $58,000. And if not for a handful of mistakes and getting robbed a couple of times, I would be a multimillionaire right now. But I'm hoping to make up for some past mistakes I made and get to that level this year. But
it's been a lot of low energy for the last like 15, 16 years. So we all need to recuperate and like recover.
Yeah. Well, anyway, So my action item is number 2: promote alternative forms of money. For those of you, I don't know everybody that's on listening tonight, but our money is supposed to be backed by gold and silver, and it actually says in the Constitution that no state shall accept anything other than gold and silver coin for payment of debts. But if you know anything about the Federal Reserve System, which was created in 1913, the Federal Reserve System is a central bank. It's basically like a private banking cartel that kind of merged with the government and governmental powers, and they gradually reduced the amount of gold and silver that was supposed to be backing the dollar. And it used to be 100% backed by gold and silver. And then I believe it was in 1971 under President Richard Nixon that they completely removed the precious metals backing from the dollar. And so the dollar has been 100% fiat currency that is backed by nothing other than the power of the U.S. government has been backing the dollar. And that's been the chief cause of inflation, and a lot of the problems that we have today are because of it. But it goes back before 1970. It really goes all the way back to 1913. But it was in 1971 when Nixon severed the last ties of gold backing of the U.S. dollar. Also, interestingly enough, if you know anything about the history of the libertarian, that was like the final straw that broke the camel's back that led to the creation of the Libertarian Party back in December of 1971. There was a libertarian movement before the Libertarian Party came along, but they didn't have their own political party until December of 1971. And that's when David Nolan, who was the primary founder of the Libertarian Party, who was also the guy that came up with the diamond chart of the political spectrum that you might have seen as the world was, he was the one that originally came up with that. That's why some people call it the Nolan chart today. But anyway, he called a meeting of libertarians that met in his home in Westminster, Colorado, back in 1971, and they formed what became, the Libertarian Party. That was the first ever libertarian meeting. And I know the first Libertarian Party meeting in California was in 1972, a few months after that. But I was just saying that this kind of ties in what I'm talking about with courage. They had a bunch of grievances, and it was when Nixon severed the gold standard, the last vestige of the gold standard backing the dollar in 1971. That was the straw that broke the camel's back that led to the creation of the Libertarian Party. So anyway, this is a big issue. So anyway, if people traded in gold and silver coins or they traded in cryptocurrencies, we could eliminate the Federal Reserve System and we could eliminate the income tax. Now, I expect that the government is going to jump on board with this cryptocurrency thing. And I think they're either going to co-opt Bitcoin, or if they don't co-opt Bitcoin, they're going to come out with their own cryptocurrency. And that's going to be a bad thing. And the reason it's going to be a bad thing is you don't want any cryptocurrency that's controlled by the government, because they'll use it as a tool to track and trace people. They'll use it as a tool for inflation. Like right now with Bitcoin, there is a cap on the number of Bitcoins. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoins created. And they've already created like over 18 million. And, you know, I don't know here how much you know about Bitcoin, the listeners tonight, but Bitcoin has to be mined, and it's mined by having computers solve these algorithms. They're these complex math equations. And as they get closer to 21 million, which is the hard cap on the number of Bitcoins that are created, the algorithms get harder and harder and harder to solve. And so Bitcoin started back in 2009. And if you got into it back in 2009, it was really mined back then, because you could mine it with like a regular laptop. You ran a program your laptop on just a laptop computer, and your computer would be solving these complex, you know, math equations. And then as they solve one of these equations, you get awarded a Bitcoin. Well, the thing is, a few years later, by about sometime in 2013, the math equations started to get a lot harder, and it required a lot more computer power to solve them. And so you basically couldn't do it on a regular home computer anymore. You had to have like a supercomputer. And, you know, so the mining gets harder and harder and harder. Anyway, there's a bunch of different cryptocurrencies. There's a good website out there called coinmarketcap.com. There's another one called coingecko.com. And there's probably some other ones too. Those are the main ones I follow. I mostly follow coinmarketcap.com. And if you go on there, you'll find there's like over 4,000 cryptocurrencies. They have like when you go on the website, the first thing you see is the top 100. And, you know, Bitcoin is at number 1, Ethereum number 2. I'm not sure what number 3 is right now. I have to look. But anyway, Monero is the top privacy coin. And, you know, I think it's been in the top 10 before. I don't think it's in the top 10 right now. I think it might be ranked like number 20 or something like that. It's in the top 25. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about Monero or highlighting Monero is, like I said, it's got privacy technology behind it, and you can't turn the privacy feature off. Now, there's some other coins, one called Zcash. It has what's known as optional privacy. That is, you can turn the privacy on or turn it off. And most people don't turn the privacy on. Most people don't. And they never turn the privacy feature on. And see, the thing is, these coins can be tracked because they all have like a long letter and number code next to them. Like a Bitcoin, it's just a long series of letters and numbers. So you might say, well, what gives a Bitcoin its value? Well, what gives a dollar value? And, you know, pull the dollar out of your pocket, and you'll see a serial number on it. You'll see a serial number on the dollar bill. All the serial number is a long string of letters and numbers, you know. And, you know, what is a dollar? It's just a piece of paper. It's not backed by anything. You know what I mean? It's just the dollar has value because the U.S. government says it has value. And they can...
Yeah, you put the meeting along. Finish up here, would you?
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna finish up my little rant there. Just okay, moving on.
No, what were the other two? I think you had 2 more to go.
I do. I'll go through those quick. Next one, homeschooling. Okay, great time to promote homeschooling, considering that, you know, I know a lot of the schools shut down because of the COVID thing. I think COVID is a bunch of overhyped nonsense, but that's another issue. Yeah, government schools, they do a lousy job, and, you know, they indoctrinate people into socialism. And so homeschool people, you know, Ron Paul came up with a thing called the Ron Paul curriculum. It's a home study program, like a homeschooling program. It's supposed to be really good. And also Tom Woods has a thing called Tom Woods Liberty Classroom. And it's not it just basically teaches people philosophy and history and economics. But anyway, those are really good things. Yeah, you know, encourage people to get their kids out of the government schools, and to homeschool. And with the internet now, homeschooling is easier than ever. Okay, last action item is guns. Right to keep and bear arms. Okay, now this is an item where there's a lot of people on the right, a lot of conservatives who do still support gun rights, but unfortunately, a lot of people on the left don't. And there's also, you know, a lot of independents, non-voters, and stuff like that. And here's the thing. You want to have a free society, you must have a right to keep and bear arms. Because without a right to keep and bear arms, you can't defend life, liberty, or property. Mm-hmm. And you can't rely on the government to protect you. You can't rely on the police to protect you. And, as I'm sure everybody here knows, sometimes it's the police who are the ones who are violating your rights. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to, basically, you get rid of gun rights, you eliminate any chance of having a libertarian society or even a civil society without gun rights. Gun control leads to tyranny and from government, and also to more crime. And so libertarians should be promoting gun rights, not just to conservatives, because most of the conservatives already agree with it. You got to go promote it to the people on the left. You got to go promote it to the non-voters. You got to go promote it to the independent. And guess what? All these foreigners coming into the country, all these immigrants, most of them don't know squat about gun rights. They don't know a damn thing about gun rights. They don't come from a country that has gun rights. They don't know anything about it. And we might have different thoughts and views on what's going on with immigration and everything, but whether we like it or not, a lot of these people are here, and a lot of those people are going to be voting. A lot of them are voting, and they don't know squat about gun rights. So if you want to do something to help the cause of liberty, go out and talk to those people. Teach those people about gun rights. Go buy a gun and offer to take them to the shooting range with you. Take them hunting with you, and teach them how to use a gun. Tell them why it's important, because most people have no freaking clue why it's important. Now, I'll tell you what, we're getting dangerously close in this country to losing gun rights. If not just totally losing them, we're going to have them neutered to the point where gun rights are going to be useless. Okay? So that's one of the few things that's preserving the amount of liberty that we have in this country, is that there's still a lot of guns in private hands. But that's going to be changing. That's going to be changing. And if those of us who care about freedom don't stand up and do something about it, we're going to lose gun rights. Okay? And there's two very important two things connected with this. One of them is 3D printed. There are things called 3D printers now, where you can print things. People can print houses. They can print parts for an automobile and all kinds of stuff with a 3D printer. But you can also print a gun from a 3D printer. And there's a guy named Cody Wilson. I don't know if anybody knows who Cody Wilson is, but he's very involved in the 3D printed gun movement. And the government went after him and railroaded him, and I think he's in jail right now on some false charges. But anyway, 3D printed guns and homemade guns, that might be something that might become necessary if the government really starts cracking down. Now, I'll tell you what, there's already a bill in Congress, and Joe Biden has said he will sign it. That it's going to be, I don't have the bill in front of me right now, but it's going to be some really major gun control, and it's in the pipeline right now. It's in Congress right now, and Joe Biden has, if they send it to him, he will sign this bill. And this is going to be some of the biggest gun control bill to come along in a long time. And so, yeah, that gun rights is my fourth action item. The more people who own guns, the harder it's going to be for the government to come and take it. That's it. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Andy, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Andy? I'm muted. Anybody got any questions for Andy?
But I didn't put everybody to sleep.
No, I think everybody's muted though. I know.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can unmute it. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to try to unmute everybody here. It's not working. Try to unmute.
Thank
Phil.
you, Mike. I'm not muted.
You're not muted. Okay, Phil, can you unmute?
I think everybody can unmute themselves.
Unmute, everybody. Unmute. Jim Wright.
Yeah,
I haven't heard from you tonight. Thank you for coming, by the way.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. You know Steve Sheets?
Yep, we do.
He's a good guy. Andy Jacobs and I stayed at his house. We helped him get on the ballot, I think, 4 years ago.
He actually ended up not making the ballot, but we did stay there briefly, and we did get a few signatures for him.
Was that for him or the LP? I forget.
Well, it was for a bunch of LP candidates, but we were in his district, and his name was on the petition in that area, but we weren't there for very long. And I think he ended up leaving the state, and then I went. I've got family that lives in Pennsylvania in a different part of the state. I went to another part of the state, but I was going to go back to Steve's district, but Steve had some personal issues and couldn't have anybody back at his house, and so he ended up not making the ballot.
Jim, how's that weather out there? Did it finally warm up?
No, it's still cold and it's still snowing.
Oh boy. Well, we got some warm weather coming from the west. We're going to send it your way.
Hopefully it gets here.
Okay.
Anyway, I come from Pennsylvania District 12 in the U.S. Congress. We came within 20 signatures of getting our candidate onto the ballot against Fred Keller.
How many signatures? How many signatures did they require, Jim?
I think we had to have 2,000, I believe.
Wow.
What part of Pennsylvania is congressional district 12?
That's in kind of the central part from just north of Harrisburg down to the New York state line.
Oh, I think I know that district. I know that district.
Right.
Is that the district that's like kind of like the largest district geographically because it's a more sparse population?
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? I petitioned in that district back in 2008, and myself and an associate of mine, we got almost all the signatures to put a libertarian on the ballot in that district. And we actually got most of them working around the State College area. We were around State College, and we hit a couple of small towns around there. Yeah, I think we went to Lock Haven also.
Yep.
And I remember one of the counties, it included the county where State College is located is Center County.
Center, yeah.
I remember there was a county, Venango County, something like that. Yeah. What was that? Have you been? Okay, this was back in 2008. Do you remember who was the LP? I can't remember the guy's name. I think he was an older guy, but I cannot remember the guy.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, whoever it was, we got somebody on the ballot there. I don't remember the guy's name though.
We had a woman by the name of Liz Terwilliger on the ballot this last time.
Okay.
We will have her there again this next time, hopefully.
What was she on for?
She was running for the U.S. Congress from that district.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that they didn't make it, or are you talking about a different election?
But she ran anyway as a write-in candidate.
Oh, okay. She didn't get enough signatures, but okay.
But she did, well, you could still vote for her, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
As a write-in.
I hate to interrupt, but Mark, I'm about to take off, my man. I apologize.
That's all right.
Thank you, Wildstar, for coming. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure again. I'll save that performance till next time, okay?
Absolutely.
But again,
Come
you guys.
next time too. I want to keep hearing from you, and let's see what happens. You know, I can say for sure he's going to be on the recall ballot. Whether or not we push him in the recall mode, I don't know. It's going to be.
Oh, he's already on campaign mode. That's why he's going around saying that he's opening up these vaccination. Yeah, centers opening up. Correct, exactly.
Yeah, all of a sudden he can open up.
Right, and that's because we will be having a recall election here come late summer. Wow. I mean, we have enough signatures. It's all a matter of getting them qualified and, Sacramento officials are already saying that their goal is to make sure that they can, delegitimize some of those signatures and disqualify them. So if they already have it out to, obstruct justice, that tells you everything you need to know. But I would say we're going to be getting that 2 million signatures. I've actually been active in collecting signatures for the recall. I've been going out for the past 4 or 5 months now for every Saturday and Monday collecting signatures outside of Walmart. So I've collected thousands of signatures and spoken with thousands of voters and passed out my card to all of them. So they're definitely on board with supporting recall. They're on every, corner of the political spectrum, and they are sick of Gavin Newsom. So I think so far the recall team in Fresno has passed its goal over 30,000 signatures. So collectively, to make the recall successful, we only needed 1.5 million. So far in county, I think it's like 1.7 million. So they're still pushing to get the 2 million plus before March 17th, which is the deadline. So I've been just active on back on the campaign trail, and aren't able to continue petitioning to collect signatures. But the team here in Fresno is still active. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to motivate the Libertarian Party enough to get on board with the bandwagon, back early when, many people were wanting to push for it. But I did so as much as I could here in Fresno as chair of the Fresno LP. I even put together flyers that were, not widely not dispersed throughout the state widely by the Libertarian Party. So, it's like every man for himself, So Andrew is right when it comes to the Libertarian Party itself, and them kind of being leaders in this effort and community involvement. Then you got to do something. You can't just stand by on the sidelines and watch it happen. So I'll just continue doing what I do on my own, right? So, like I said, you guys check me out, wildstar2022.com. Help me out. #FreeWildstar, okay?
Hey, when is the recall election, assuming they have enough signatures? Are you saying that they don't have to wait till November to the election, and the election will be like in July or August or something, or what?
Correct, it will be. So, special.
You know when the election will be exactly?
Probably, yeah, around July, August. I would say August, definitely.
Okay. Because I had been under the impression it was November, but okay, I guess it's August. Okay, that's good.
No, because they have a certain amount of time, I guess, that they have to have the recall election within. Like, it can't be 8 months out or 12 months out. You know what I mean? It has to be within a certain time period. So the special election would be declared, and we'll have one here to get Gruesome Newsom, get him out of office right now and get me in there.
Has the LP of California even passed a resolution or put out a press release officially endorsing the recall?
I believe so. If they have, it hasn't been spoken of much. Yeah, I believe early they did, but you can put out a press release all day. It's the follow through that matters, getting boots on the ground.
The follow through is almost more important than the press release.
Right. And doing what I was doing, there were very few people doing that within the Libertarian Party. I mean, there were volunteers that were Libertarians, that were party members that were doing that. But as far as the executive, sending that out to all party members and trying to get party members, get the entire party, that 12,000 that you do have, at least get them mobilized somehow, some way. But there wasn't much effort to do that. It was, again, every man for himself. So I found myself often tabling outside of the Walmart on my own, There were a couple of volunteers that assisted me from the Libertarian Party of Fresno here, but we didn't get much support from the state party either on that effort. But we had lots of libertarian literature. Tons of people came and took that. Of course, we spoke about libertarian issues, making California a constitutional carry state, cryptocurrency and economic equity. So a lot of people are interested in those types of solutions. It's just a matter of, getting out our perspective and doing what Mark told me earlier. Don't be afraid to speak out and provide resolutions on controversial issues, even though it may seem controversial.
Well, I'll say if more people in the Libertarian Party were doing what you were doing, the party would be a lot further ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hey, I was doing the best that I can, like I said, as an influencer, I guess. But you can only do so much. And money does play a big role in that. And if I had all of the money behind me, the financial backing, I definitely would be able to make more of an impact, not only in the Libertarian Party, but, politically here in the state of California. So if you guys want to contribute to my campaign, since I am not backed by any, special interest groups or unions or big bankers, visit my website, wildstar2022.com. Hit that donate button for me, okay?
Hey, Wildstar, that was really good. And also, in 30 days, we'll have another meeting, and we're going to know more about this recall stuff, right? So,
yes, absolutely.
Why don't you come back? Let's get you on for another 10 minutes, which will be 20. And then we'll have Andy back also, because Andy, this is it. This recall stuff, this is the whole deal. And, make sure if this thing keeps going, cash in with those SIGs too. I think they're paying $2.50 now. Finally, it took them forever. They weren't paying anything, but I think they're now paying $2.50 and $1.25 up front.
I know,
so
right?
They'll pay $1.25 on everything. If you guys need that information, give me a call, give Wildstar a call, or give Andy a call. We're all in that business. So, there's some coordinators and coordinators all over trying to get that project done. And it's a big project. And this is where the rubber meets the street.
Exactly.
I've got a ton of those signatures for free while I was getting signatures for paid contract work. So now Newsom finally got funding, and they want to finish it off. So there's no question he's going up for recall. And now you'll see him dancing, campaigning, trying to save his job, talk about opening 25%. Vegas is at 25%. They're talking about going 50% in March. And I'm sorry, but the virus is no different in Las Vegas than it is in California. And
right.
The rates in Vegas are a little lower, I believe. So, recall Cuomo, recall Newsom. We recalled the city attorney of San Bernardino about 5 years ago. We got him on the ballot. Me and a bunch of guys, we went out to San Bernardino. I met him. I was getting signatures against him. He was standing next to me handing out his propaganda flyer. And then that's a whole nother story. I don't want to get into that. But we got him on the ballot, and he got out. They got him out. So just getting him on the ballot almost gives you a 50-50. So Newsom's got the money. He's got the bank. He's got the media. He's got the newspapers. He's got San Fran locked up. He's got Southern Cal, LA Times.
That's why I said, man, I just got to get the money to get on the ballot. It's going to be about $4,500, $5,000. I get that.
We need a full-page Wildstar ad.
For
LA
sure.
Times, full page, big old smile, right there. You got it.
Thank you, brother, man.
Thank you, Wildstar. Anybody want to ask Wildstar something?
Well, yeah, I know. What is the ballot the requirement for you to be on the ballot as a candidate for governor as a Republican? Is it a filing fee, or do you have to collect signatures in a filing fee? I know a long time ago, and I don't know if the law has changed, but way back in 2003, there was a signature requirement to get on the ballot. They needed like 65 petition signatures.
Yeah,
and they
you
ended
need
up having a record number of candidates. I remember, like even Gary Coleman, the actor, ran. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the requirement now to get on the ballot for governor in the recall? What do you have to do?
I just have to get, of course, a certain amount of nomination signatures. I think that's the minimum required amount that you're speaking of, but that's just nomination signatures, and you can have that amount taken out of signatures in lieu, which you can collect to take away from that fee, that $5,000 fee, just about, to get your name on the ballot. So you can either collect the signatures in lieu of paying that fee, or pay that fine.
How many signatures do you have to collect to not have to pay the $5,000 fee?
Oh, it's going to be about 30,000 signatures.
Oh, 30,000? Oh, well then, okay. Well then, it's easier just to pay the $5,000.
Exactly. So that's usually what people do. Is just because you have to pay, you have to collect enough signatures to offset the fee, and each signature is a certain dollar amount. So let's say each signature is like 40 cents or something like that. You have to each signature that you have to collect has to offset that $4,500, $5,000 fee.
Are you sure it's the same thing for a recall? Because I just I haven't checked the law in a long time. But I remember back in 2003, it was pretty easy to get on the ballot for the recall race, and they ended up having over 100 candidates.
Yeah, well, the reason being is because, it was a high-profile election, and the same thing is going to happen pretty much every time California governor spot opens up. It's been dwindling down because of the Democratic rule here in the state. So since the Democratic Party has such a stronghold, a lot of people don't even compete, especially against autocracy. So when I ran for governor, I believe I was one of 28 candidates. So that was in 2018. In 2022, we'll see what happens. But so far for the recall election, there's about 9 declared candidates so far, including myself, I believe. So with that, if that amount of candidates stay low, that of course increases my opportunities even more. So all the more reason to make sure that I have presence on the ballot. So I want to make sure that I have those initial filing fees covered. And I'm fundraising right now to do the best that I can to take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks again for everything, you guys. I got to take off and feed my family.
Appreciate all your time.
Thank you. Love you guys, and take care. Long live liberty. Peace.
Talk to you soon. Thank you, Wildstar. Okay, now let's see, what do we got here?